The story of Jed Clampett begins in the rugged hills, where the simple life of a mountaineer was measured not by gold, but by the ability to keep his family fed through the long, harsh winters. Jed was a man of few words and a steady hand, a mountain dweller whose life was tied to the rhythm of nature. His days were spent hunting for the pot and tending to the modest needs of his kin. One quiet afternoon, while Jed was out tracking game to ensure there would be supper on the table, he took a shot at what he thought was dinner. The bullet struck the earth, and to his utter astonishment, the ground did not yield a rabbit or a deer, but something entirely different. A dark, thick, viscous liquid began to bubble up through the soil, erupting in a fountain of potential that the world would come to know as black gold. It was oil, and for the simple mountaineer, it was the transformation of a lifetime. Almost overnight, the man who had struggled to keep his hearth warm became a millionaire, thrust into a world he had never imagined existed. His kin, quick to recognize the magnitude of their fortune, advised him that the hills were no longer the place for a man of his new stature. They insisted that California, with its promise of glamour and opportunity, was the only place for a family like the Clampetts to reside. With the decision made, they loaded their humble belongings onto their trusty truck and set their sights on the winding roads that would eventually lead them to the sun-drenched hills of Beverly. It was a new world of swimming pools, luxury, and the company of the elite, a stark contrast to the quiet rusticity of their home. Yet, in the midst of their newfound wealth, the Clampetts remained tethered to their roots, carrying with them the wisdom of the mountains and a genuine, if somewhat unconventional, approach to life. As they settled into the opulence of their mansion, life in the city began to clash with the simple traditions of their past. Jed, ever the humble patriarch, found himself navigating a society that operated with a speed and complexity that felt alien. Meanwhile, his nephew Jethro, fueled by the boundless enthusiasm of youth and a desire to be part of the bustling Hollywood scene, declared himself a boy genius and an agent of great renown. Jethro envisioned himself as the president of enterprises, surrounding himself with an entourage of flunkies and stooges, all while trying to maintain an image that he believed befitted a man of his importance. He sought to project an air of sophisticated business, often confusing his family with his grand schemes and his insistence that people refer to him as Mr. Show Business. The house, meant to be a symbol of their rise in station, became the stage for a humorous collision of cultures. Granny, with her homemade remedies and her steadfast belief in the old ways, insisted on performing mundane tasks in the most visible locations. She would sit out front, expertly cutting hair or tending to domestic chores, much to the chagrin of those who cared deeply about image and status. Her scalp stimulators, a potent mixture of turpentine and ginger, were a source of both wonder and terror to those she treated, a testament to her unwavering belief that if a medicine was not strong enough to sting, it was not doing its job. The friction between the worlds reached its peak when Jethro decided that their residence should also serve as his corporate headquarters. He saw no reason why the fifth floor of a bank building could not be transformed into a center of commerce, filled with the hum of activity and the prestige of high-stakes deals. He envisioned a space that reflected his importance, demanding improvements that would make any modern office blush, all while remaining blissfully ignorant of the actual demands of the business world. His uncle, Jed, remained the calm center of this whirlwind, watching his nephew with a mixture of amusement and concern, always ready to lend a hand when the inevitable complications arose. Mr. Drysdale, the harried bank president, found himself at the center of the chaos, struggling to maintain the dignity of his institution while dealing with the unpredictable energy of the Clampetts. He saw the potential for profit in their eccentricities, even as he despaired at the logistical nightmares they created. His attempts to guide them toward a more conventional path were met with a stubborn adherence to their own unique logic. When he suggested that they form a corporation to benefit from the tax laws, the Clampetts embraced the idea with a patriotic fervor, seeing it as their duty to contribute to the national economy, even if their understanding of the business was entirely their own. Ellie Mae, meanwhile, sought to bring a touch of the outdoors to their urban environment. She was never seen without her beloved critters, and her dream was to find them good homes, even if that meant convincing the most prominent figures in Hollywood to open their hearts and their doors to a stray cat or a lonely puppy. Her innocence and her genuine love for living things made her a beacon of warmth, even in the bustling city. She became a central figure in their new enterprise, acting as the face of the business, her charm and sincerity doing more to draw people in than any sophisticated marketing campaign ever could. As the office on the fifth floor opened its doors, it became a curious amalgam of a professional workspace and a homey shop. Granny offered her services as a doctor and a dentist, while Jed stood ready to repair furniture, cobble shoes, and mend whatever else needed fixing. They were a team committed to providing service with a personal touch, oblivious to the professional boundaries that governed the rest of the city. Their opening special, offering a kitten with every haircut and a puppy if a tooth was pulled, was a stroke of genius that could only have come from the simple, kind heart of the mountain folk. The local celebrities and bank employees were soon drawn into this orbit, finding themselves the recipients of care that was as unorthodox as it was earnest. Mr. Drysdale, despite his initial reservations, found himself caught up in the enthusiasm, even when it meant becoming a test subject for Granny's dental expertise. The bank staff, initially wary of the new arrivals, began to discover a sense of community that they had long missed. The laughter that echoed through the halls was not that of a professional office, but that of a family that had found a way to share its spirit with the world. Through all the ups and the downs, the misunderstandings and the successes, the story of Jed and his kin remained one of enduring love and positive connections. They never lost sight of who they were, and in doing so, they taught those around them that success is not merely found in bank accounts or business deals, but in the sincerity with which one approaches life and the care one shows for others. They were, and would always be, the pride of the mountains, finding home in the heart of the city, and leaving a trail of kindness and laughter wherever they went. Their journey was a reminder that no matter how much a person changes, the values of family, hard work, and a helping hand are what truly make a house a home. In the end, as the day came to a close and the lights dimmed in the bank building, the legacy of their short time in the city was written in the smiles of those they had helped and the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. The Clampetts had arrived as outsiders, but they left behind a community that had been touched by their unique brand of hospitality. As they prepared to move on to their next adventure, they did so with the knowledge that they had stayed true to themselves, finding harmony in the contrast of their lives and proving that the greatest treasure is not the black gold they found in the ground, but the joy they shared with one another and the people they met along the way.